We do have our eyes still cast on Parliament, where a joint sitting is expected to happen from about 2:30, if I'm not wrong. But before that, you will remember that President Uhuru Kenyatta chaired a National Security Council meeting ahead of the speech in Parliament, and he also did address members of the cabinet. And Rita Tinina has all the details from those two prior meetings and what it means for this extended list of invitees beyond members of Parliament. Rita, what do we have since I last spoke to you?
Well, Edith, here at Parliament Building, service commanders have started arriving here, led by the Air Force Commander. Parliament Road for the past 2.5 hours or so has been closed to motorists and pedestrians as well. And once the president arrives here, which we expect will be in the next half an hour or so, we'll first inspect a guard of honor mounted by the Kenya Army before going into the chamber. But really an unprecedented afternoon for the country. This comes amid speculation of whether or not the president will be going to The Hague. As you mentioned there, Edith, it has been a busy morning for the president, meeting members of the National Security Council as well as the cabinet. What is that important message that the president is communicating to what you term as pillars of his administration, and which he will be communicating later on this afternoon to Parliament? Was he telling the National Security Council and his cabinet that, look, I am going to The Hague, and when I'm away, you need to take charge? Or was he saying that, you know, I'm not going, be prepared for the consequences, whatever consequences those will be? Word has it from the security officers here that after addressing the special joint sitting of the National Assembly and the Senate, he will address a crowd that will be gathered outside his office at Harambee House. That we have not confirmed, but those are the indications that we are getting. So what is that message that the president wants to pass from the National Security Council, the cabinet, Parliament, to the common mwananchi? And what will the implications be? Some analysts have speculated that perhaps it has something to do with his case at The Hague. Is he going? Is he not going? And what will the implications be? What will that mean for relations between Kenya and the AU? Remember, the AU had stood firmly behind Uhuru Kenyatta in resolutions in October of last year, saying no sitting head of state should appear before the International Criminal Court, also asking that Uhuru Kenyatta's case be deferred. So if Uhuru chooses to go, what does that mean for relations between Kenya and the AU, which, as I said, stood firmly behind Uhuru Kenyatta? What will also mean if he chooses to ignore those summons? What will it mean for Kenya as a country? Legal analysts are looking at the possibility, will the ICC then issue a warrant of arrest against President Uhuru Kenyatta, making him join the league of his colleague, Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, who has a warrant of arrest by the ICC hanging over his head? What will that mean if it gets to that level? What will it mean for Kenya? Remember, during the promulgation of the Constitution, Omar al-Bashir, with that warrant of arrest, came to Uhuru Park, and pressure was on Kenya to arrest him. Going forward, looking forward, if Uhuru doesn't go to The Hague, what does it mean for us as a country? As I mentioned earlier, we are counting down. Right behind me there, you can see some of the service commanders just standing in line. The Kenya Army a few minutes ago was going through their final paces. We'll wait to see what time the president gets here. And really, the president, Edith, has already addressed two joint sittings of the National Assembly and the Senate, both of which are provided for in the law. That is a newly elected parliament, as well as the State of the Nation address. The law provides that he can call a joint special sitting any other time. This is one of those times, but really something different from those other sittings. When there's an opening of parliament, those two other joint sittings, after he addresses the chamber, normally there would be a reception outside where members of parliament and the Senate will get some refreshments. There is usually a tent for the president where he sits, and members of parliament and the senators can get a chance to say hello to him. Today we have no indications that will be any reception here, and nothing has been set up. Normally that is usually behind parliament buildings at the garden. Some construction is going on there, but on the other alternative side, we have no indications that today there will be a reception. And as I mentioned, a word from security personnel here is that the president, after he makes his address to the chamber, will also address a crowd that will have gathered outside his office at Harambee House. So, Edith, we are keeping an eye on things for you from Parliament buildings.
Well, Rita Tinina, before you go, you have raised a lot of important questions, which, as you mentioned, we will not have the answers to until President Uhuru does indeed address the joint sitting. But there's another issue that has come up in the afternoon. There were Member of Parliament Agostino Neto saying that the opposition is not going to attend this special sitting. And Homa Bay MP Peter Kaluma just a few minutes ago saying that we're going to be there, we're going to listen. Has there been any clarification on the opposition's stand?
Well, the opposition seems divided on the issue. As you said there, Peter Kaluma says, you know, it's not definite that the president will be talking about The Hague. He may be talking about any other matter. So you need to be there to know what the president has to say. As elected leaders, you're elected to be in parliament, so you're refusing to go to parliament for a reason that you're not sure about. So some division there within members of the opposition, some saying they will be attending the special joint sitting, others saying, no, we are not going for it.
Well, thank you very much, Rita Tinina. Of course, making it very clear that we still do not know what the president is going to talk about, although the timing of his status conference at the ICC does make it very easy for us to speculate that he will indeed be talking about his summons there. So we will be getting back to that case as soon as, we'll be getting back to that story as soon as the president arrives at Parliament.